Hey, how's it going? I'm back. It's Dan Fredenberg, and I'm here today once more with Mike Preshman, and this is the very first Chess with Investors Geek Out. Where we're actually really talking less about investment and more about the chess itself, specifically how to improve. But first of all, Mike, how you doing today?
Very good. Glad to be here. This is exciting to try this analysis and yeah, always very well.
Hey there, my 9-year-old daughter has a reminder for you using this paper katana, and that is to make sure you hit the gear and use the speed controls, because it changes it from this, ready, into this. Like magic.
In
Totally agree.
Boston, a little bit snowed in here, but we're getting through it. It's good.
Excellent, excellent. So that's one thing I always struggle with as an interviewer. It's like, especially with the internet lag, you never know if somebody's done or not, and I always feel bad whenever I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
interrupt. But
Okay. No worries.
all right, cool. So the first thing that we're going to go through, I got to confess, part of the idea of why I wanted to share this with you, yes, you. I also wanted to share it with Mike, but like you're the one that I really wanted to share this with. I really want to focus on chess improvement, and
Yeah,
I also want to reveal that there are only very specific circumstances where I'll get extremely underhanded and chess is pretty much the only one. I'd say if it's chess, or if like bankruptcy is one of the risks, then I'll get a little bit, like a little bit more like this, where the what I'd say, the information is a bit asymmetrical. So
sure.
to back up, Yona Weiss was kind enough to introduce me to you. Have you actually had the chance to play Yona yet, Mike?
I have not. I've met Yon a bunch of times. I've been on his podcast. No, but we haven't played.
Okay, yeah,
Sure.
yeah, far out, because he's got over 20,000 games on his chess.com account, because like he
Okay.
likes the blitz.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'll have to challenge him. Maybe bring a chess set to the next real estate conference.
what I've got is I've got a couple different things here, and so I'm talking about the things I did to prepare for going against you, and the things that I didn't include. So one thing, like maybe you're thinking about being a guest on Chess with Investors, and in general, people don't take chess that seriously, I'd say. So Mike, I'd say you've taken it seriously in your past. Do you want to repeat some of your background and about how much you play, really?
Sure. Yeah. I grew up playing chess. So I'm from Ukraine. So I was born in Ukraine, moved here when I was 9, and so that was kind of a big part of my identity as a kid. So I played in like chess tournaments, and I was not amazing, but I was decent. Like I had a coach for a little while. I was part of like different chess groups, and I played in tournaments and traveled a little bit. So my rating at the top was around like maybe 1650 was kind of like my best rating in tournament play, and then I kind of like once I got to um, high school or so, I kind of stopped playing or stopped playing professionally,
Hmm.
and so now I've retained those skills, and so I still play. Um, and so I have a really good friend in New York. So we play online almost every day. So we play like, best of three. We're roughly kind of similar strength. So I've kind of rekindled my passion in the past few years, kind of playing chess.
Hmm.
Uh, and then my kids are getting into it. So my daughter is taking chess classes, and so I'm kind of excited for her to kind of get good at it. I just think chess is great. Like I think chess is kind of like a fundamental skill, like for decision making and thinking and analysis and kind of like exercise for your brain and so forth. So I just think I think it's great. I think if you go too much into it, it's probably not the best way to make money. It's probably not. If you overcommit, it can be an obsession, and obviously a lot of people love it, but I love it as a thought exercise and as a decision making tool, and it's fun.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
fantastic for like distract, like if you need a reset, chess is fantastic. If you just want to think about, it's like a meditation.
Yeah, yeah, I
Chess
love
is great.
that.
Yeah.
And I've had that discussion with my son, and I got to tell you, like getting him to the point where I'm, like 50-50 or somewhere around, like, like where I'm not that surprised if I'm losing. Like if I'm doing dumb stuff against my son, I'm
Yeah.
cooked. There's no
Yeah.
two ways about it. He's that level without a doubt. And I think that there's all sorts of potential for chess in the future in ways that I think very few people are aware of. Like the biggest one for me is that we've known for nearly 30 years that computers are better than humans can ever expect to be ever again.
Yeah.
And so because of that, we've actually, as chess players or modern chess players, I find they've found the best harmonious relationship with robots that I think it can teach all sorts of society, like with the advent of ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or these different AIs. I think that
Yeah.
the one of the biggest ways that is going to come out, especially with the problems that a lot of educators have, kids using AI to do their homework for them, that sort of thing. I think chess, especially in person, is a fantastic way for like a university entrance exam, for example, to
Yep.
find actual aptitude and also, the amount of commitment that you're willing to put at into something. And it also brings me back to one thing that was really interesting. I don't know if you saw the interview with the Croatian Grandmaster Sasha Martinovic that I put out there, but he was making a point when I was comparing, say, like getting into the NFL or the NBA or the MLB or the NHL, these different professional sports. Like
Yeah.
how do you compare the effort that's necessary to get there compared to becoming a grandmaster or becoming like a top 10 grandmaster or whatever. And he had
Right.
one excellent point, which is that you can, like, if you're really that type of person, you could theoretically put 12 to 14 hours of chess training in, but you can't run for 14 hours straight. Like you can't really do physical
Sure.
training the same way for as long as you can train your mind. And he doesn't seem to think you have the diminishing returns that I
It's
imagine.
arguable, I think. Yeah, you probably you get tired thinking because I think there's like proof that when you're thinking you're also burning calories and you can get exhausted. But probably and I also think that there is probably a good amount of IQ that some people are simply more talented at something like chess, or their brains are able to handle the stress of a chess game more than others.
Hmm.
So I think there's truth to that. One of the things actually, what I think about like things like chess and poker and just like general play is that, I think this is like going off on a tangent, but I figure like whatever, we're chatting about some interesting stuff. So, there's this like AI crisis that I think is going to hit society in the next like 10 to 20 years where, it's just going to be, intelligence is going to be outsourced to computers. And so like the common of what people do with their time and how they find meaning and purpose is going to totally revamp. I think society is gonna go through a little bit of a struggle with people. Because people basically like even though everybody thinks they want to be rich or they want to be lying on the beach, that's not reality. And people, as soon as they hit that financial freedom, or you see a lot of billionaires being depressed, all this kind of stuff. So I think that people are going to hit a crisis where they're going to really struggle with finding meaning and purpose without meaningful work and without exercising their brain. And so I think things like that these games like chess and poker are gonna almost have like a revamp, kind of like they're gonna become a bigger part of society, where chess is just like this competitive, interesting game where it's, and you're playing against humans, and therefore so I think I think that's it's not a solution to what's coming, but I think it's kind of an antidote of a little bit of what can help society with handle what's coming.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
maybe there'll be more games like chess or more activities like that where it's just kind of like doing things for the inherent purpose of doing those things. And because when I play chess, it reminds me a little bit of being a kid where I just play for the sake of playing. I just want to beat somebody, and it's just fun. And the game is over, and you talk some trash, and it's done, right?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah. So anyway, so I think that chess has potentially a bigger purpose in society in the upcoming, decades.
Yep, I completely agree. So let's try sharing my screen again here. Now this time, I think it's putting me, yeah, there you go. It's putting me on top of my screen. That's what you see as well there, Mike?
Yep, yep,
Okay, cool. So I got two things here. One is I've got your chess.com profile in here, and then I've also got the game itself with the engine analysis. Now, I can tell anybody in the audience who's unaware that you really have to be careful by following the computer analysis because sometimes it will expect perfect play from your opponent, and that's just not a fair assumption. So they'll say it's like, oh, well, this knight move is definitely the winning move, but you might end up doing a bishop move because you figure that your actual attack is too hard to spot. And so,
sure.
so like it might even call your winning move more or less a blunder. So a grandmaster would completely disagree. So I don't know how much time you spend on these stats here, Mike. But well, one thing you should also know is that chess.com, it has a premium subscription available, the diamond subscription, where you can do these computer analysis like you see on my left side of my screen here
Yep.
for every single game to give you an idea of where exactly did you go wrong. But how much time do you spend looking through people's stats, and do they really speak to you?
Yeah, coming into the game against you, I was completely blind. I had no idea. I never look into this. I was caught off guard. I had no idea what your skill level was, and I just knew that I'm like an average player, right? So I'm like 1600. So you could be 2000 rated, and you could be really good, right? Or you could be like 1200, or anywhere in between. And so I just kind of figured, give it a shot. But yeah,
Right,
no
right.
preparation, completely blind.
That's hilarious
Yeah.
because that was the other thing that I was saying to you in one of the other posts is that if I get the feeling that the person's not that far in chess, then I actually have a video prepared. I'll send it to you anyway because I think that if we're study buddies, it'll work out really well. But
Yeah.
I tell people flat out, these are my openings. So if you want to prepare, here you go.
Sure,
So,
sure.
so if you're doing, if I'm white, you can expect this. If I'm black and you're an E4 player, you can expect this. And if you do D4, you can expect this. I just flat out, give people the opportunity to prepare. And of course, just because I'm being ridiculous, you said that you're a pretty average player, but it says right there on Blitz, you're in the 94.9th percentile, which is not average at all. So,
Yeah. I mean, with
so
it, sure, average amongst, people that are decent. Obviously.
yeah,
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 correct.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
ultra serious. Yeah, good. And then, like
Yeah.
that's the thing too, is because if you go over to, have you played on Lichess at all? Lichess.org, Lichess.
Nope,
Yes.
nope.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that the same player with what I'll call a mature rating. In other words, you've had like a few hundred to maybe like 1,000 games. Because like if you haven't had that many, then you might have
Yeah.
got lucky
Right. Right.
on like and whereas it's more or less stable. Like I guess stable's probably better than mature, right? But
Yep.
you'll have a mature rating in the in lead chess and in chess.com, but the percentiles will be vastly different. And I think that's
Right.
because chess.com has the larger base.
Yep.
And so as a result, you get more people who just like give it a shot for like a week and then decide it's not for them, that's kind of messing up your percentile because the percentile is significantly lower on Lee Chess for the same ratings for me anyway. So maybe that's part of your perception. But it
Right.
also
Right.
had your highest rating right here. Knowing, so this section here is kind of hard to see when you're just going through the stats, but you can see what the win percentages are for white and black. But even if you look at Hikaru or Magnus or something like that, generally black will be about 5% less than whatever
Okay.
white is. So you're basically on par for that. But like I'm just looking for any kind of data that I could find here. Okay, it shows that you also beat a 17-19 at some point. But this is pretty limited information. The game history is what I was going off of more than anything else.
Oh,
But
that's my friend right there. Yeah, that's funny.
right, exactly. So I blasted through a few of these to find out
Yeah.
what your tendencies are. and
Okay.
but my real ace in the hole was a different one from that. To compare, though, what I'll do is I'll go to it was a few days before our interview. I actually did a 20-person simul where I was one of the 20, not the one playing all 20. And
Yeah.
so was my son. And it was against Canada's number one ranked active grandmaster. It's this guy right here, right? Now, I'm in the insights page where you have to have the diamond level subscription in order to access this.
Yeah.
But to prepare against him, if I fire down to the openings, right here in black and white, it tells you what they use more often than not. So you can see that if you're playing against this guy on chess.com and this is Blitz, you're probably getting the English, because you'll see it's nearly, like it's more than 5 times more. It's basically 5 times more than the next most popular white opening that he'll do. So if he
Hmm.
does E4, then it's pretty common for people to respond with the Sicilian, no big surprise. But in general, he'll start off with the English. So that meant I need to find some English lines to play against him. And then if I hit black, you'll see he's a Carl Kahn player. Now, of course, that is fun for me because nobody's ever going to do a Carl Kahn against me because I'm not an E4 player. Okay, so that one's basically out the window. And then when he does Queen's Gambit, it's like, okay, well, if that's the if for black, that's basically irrelevant for me as well because I'm not a D4 player either. I always start off with NF3
Yeah.
when I'm with white.
So tell me this. So you find like on our level, this level of preparation gives you. First of all, I think this is great. Like this, I think this is how you improve. I think this is how you learn. I think chess. You can spend your whole life studying chess, right? But also from a practical standpoint, like. Do you think that having an advantage? I mean, I'm sure some, like if somebody has a certain, yeah, I can see that. If somebody has like a certain tendencies or they're very comfortable with a certain opening and you give them like something they don't expect that's going to throw them off their game and that could ultimately decide the outcome. So I can see, I kind of have a little bit of like a hubris about just being able to figure it out and I can beat anybody like in chess or anything, just kind of blind optimism sort of.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I can see the value of this in terms of
sure,
preparing,
sure,
giving yourself an
sure.
edge. I know grandmasters do this, obviously. Like I understand that. I'm just thinking like
Right,
on
exactly.
our
You see,
on our
you're hitting
level.
the crux. That's my main reply to you there, which is like, like if you're not to a certain level, the real decider is going to be when you make that huge blunder, right?
Exactly, right. It could all
Like
be, and then somebody hangs a queen. Well, hopefully not on our level at this point, but
sh-
still, anything
sure,
can
sure.
happen, right?
Right, right. And I actually even have my match against this grandmaster, and basically it was like move 34. I did one rushed king move
Yeah.
that ended up giving up a pawn. So I know that when you're at the grandmaster level, if they wind up with a free pawn, you're cooked.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Whereas,
You're
like
probably cooked regardless, but yeah.
when you're closer to our range, you kind of have to blunder a piece before it's just, dead
Yep.
lost.
Yep. Yep.
A single pawn you could probably recover from, especially if you have like some positional advantages. And of course, like
Exactly.
that's one of the other things you find as you get deep into chess is that there aren't any hard and fast rules. Like Ben Feingold says, never play F6.
Yeah.
And there's a good reason for that. He also says like F5 is fine, but F6 is always a disaster. And I ended up playing F6 against the Grandmaster, which is kind of funny. But back to this preparation. So yeah, like this preparation is relevant, but like one of the things that I find I'm at that point, and I think you're at that point, is where if you're going to be competing against particular people, it's like, do you work on just improving at chess, or do
Hmm.
you work on being able to beat that individual? Because
Yeah.
it's a different sort of endeavor. But if I click right here on the games button, it'll actually give me
I
all
sometimes
the
feel guilty if I win against somebody because of their mistake, right? Like maybe it's a
yeah,
win, but
yeah,
it doesn't feel right. Like if you win because they didn't play optimally, you didn't
right,
beat
right,
the
right,
optimal version of that player. You know
right,
you're
exactly.
vulnerable. It's not your skill that won, it's luck.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
so
completely
yeah,
agree with that. And that actually colors how I play with my kids.
yeah,
I think one of the reasons why they accepted the game is because if they do something that is just catastrophic,
yeah,
you just say, it's like, are you sure you want to do that?
exactly. Yep.
Just give them a second look. Because, like, who wants to play?
In chess.com, you can't return moves, right?
That's right. But Lichess, you
Yeah.
actually can. You can
They should add
request.
that feature because sometimes it's a good game and then somebody makes a mistake because like
Right,
their
right.
kid is climbing on them or something and then that ruins the game.
Right, exactly. So on this one right here, so this is so he's done 1,218 games in Blitz where he was using the English as the opening, and
Yeah.
you can change based on the outcome. You can change it to just his lost games, just like this, and then you can study through these.
Right.
So I actually created lines based on his losses where it would mostly overlap with my opening preparation, or at least it wouldn't require too much memorization or departure from what I usually do. And
Yep.
and so this is one little way that you can memorize a little bit more. But I think the people in the audience want a little bit more hands-on action to do their improvement. So let's start going through our review, and then we'll go on to other suites, including Chessable, which is the course platform that chess.com offers, and then also Chessbase, which is, I would describe it as a highly premium software, not like CoStar level premium, but like a lot of money for a typical chess player kind of
Yeah, yeah,
premium.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's
I would
start
just
here.
say so you're pretty deep in I love it. You're pretty deep in this chess world. So your podcast chess with investors, not this episode, but in general, what would you say like how would you break it down how percentage wise? 50/50 like
It's
or
it's
yourself like what's your where's your I don't know passion or focus or excitement like when is it more on the chess side is it more on the investing side is it 50/50 is it
Yeah,
pure
so okay,
I
so
love the
one of the
concept
things,
just
yeah, one of the big revelations I had a couple years ago is that I do real estate so that I can do podcasting and meet more people,
yeah
not the other way around.
love it
Okay, so
yeah
so so like many people think one or the other is a means to an end, and that's where my priorities really lie. My big incentive is I'd like to be able to hit up just about anybody the way Oprah used to be able to do it and say, "Hey, come on my show," and people are like, "Yeah, I'm
yeah.
there," right? So that's
Sure.
what I really want. But the benefit of chess with investors in particular is just you have such a stronger relationship with the guests than you would have in a typical podcast or meeting at a conference or something like that. You got a
Right.
real idea of their character, their mental fortitude, perseverance, like all of those different things. But I basically, as I
Awesome.
said, most people who come on the show, they don't take chess that seriously, and so I know that my record. You're actually the first lost I had since 2024 on the
Really?
show. I
You
Yeah,
didn't
I
lose a single
didn't.
time last year.
Yeah,
So that
exactly.
means either you're playing really well or you're not getting high enough caliber of guests.
Right. Yeah.
In
Yeah.
specifically, by the way, like if you could talk to, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg, whatever, like somebody really successful, but they're not that great at chess, that's okay too, right? So chess is not the only indicator, obviously. There's a lot of great investors and great people that are just, take chess not that seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've also got a fix for that one. And
Yeah.
actually, the day after I recorded our match, I did my first simul
Yeah.
against two people who. So what I'm actually thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to have these long episodes where, just like with MythBusters, they'd have the Jamie and Adam project, and then
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
cut into the Carrie and Terry and Grant Imahara, project, and they cut in and out. I'm planning on
Sure.
doing the same thing where I have somebody who's around your level, where like I have to focus if I'm going to stand a chance,
Sure.
and then have simuls against people where, I'm not a similar level. So it's like forcing me to really juggle a little bit. And I think that should be a pretty neat format to make sure that, that everybody has a good time,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
if you're
yeah.
not too used to the game. So that's what I'm
Love
thinking.
it. Love
Yeah.
it.
So I opened up with NF3. You ended up doing D4. How often you run into people with NF3 openings?
Mm,
Not very.
very early, but I figured let's roll with it.
Right, for sure.
We were talking. I just yeah.
Right, right, exactly.
Let's
So I
go.
like to do when somebody answers with D4, I like to get or sorry D5. I like to get my D4 pawn out because I really don't like it when the E pawn comes out and then harasses my knight on the next move.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's basically my thinking at this part. You end up
You
threatening,
want
but
to kind
that's
of capture. You want to protect the center. We're fighting for the center right now.
yeah. Well, basically, I want to be able to leave my knight there unless I
Yeah,
got a
yeah,
really good reason to make it leave. So you put your knight out. I prepare to fianchetto. You get your bishop out pretty
yep.
quickly. You were about to say something?
No, 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 no. I'm
Yep.
just yeah,
Okay, so I
yep.
fianchettoed. You got your knight out, so you get just plain old developing move. You're by this point you're already deciding that you're going to castle kingside,
At this
right?
point, I'm pretty semi-automatic. My thoughts are kind of like there's probably two choices at every, and I just kind of pick the one that feels right at the moment.
Right,
But
right, right.
I wouldn't say
So
yeah,
So this was kind of interesting. I've seen another engine say that getting this out here was actually the best engine move.
yeah,
I'll have to check through my other ones, but this is saying it's just excellent instead.
yeah,
But the reason why I like to do that is because that way your D pawn is really, really undermined, and
yeah,
I'd love to trade a C pawn for a D pawn and have a firmer grip on the center, even if I'm gambiting it. What a hard
yeah.
thing to say. But it's recommending to castle. So here I bring out my knight, and the idea there is that after I castle and I get my rook over here, I can put this here, and there's not really much you can do to try and capture. Basically, I'll have a real lock on that E4 square and possibly even be able to do an advance on it. It's basically the idea of this
But
one.
so far you sacrificed a pawn, right? So far you have a plan for getting this pawn back.
So not really. Usually,
Yeah,
if I'm not gonna fianchetto, if I'm gonna do like a Catalan style thing, it's nice that you can scoop that up. But I prefer to fianchetto in general, especially
yeah,
because that center that bishop's gonna come at the center in a big way. And there's also a pretty neat combination, especially if I can get my queen somehow on the D file, and this knight perhaps I go over here to threaten the bishop. That opens up this right here, and so like if I've already cooked this pawn or maybe even gambited off a second pawn,
yeah.
then I might be able to pull off a queen ending up right there. So bishop takes, knight, pawn takes, queen comes up and takes the
Right.
pawn. Then that's a fork of these two. If that knight isn't there, then maybe you'll block here, and then I can feast on a rook is
Yeah.
basically part of the plan. And like honestly, I don't think this was the best execution of this form of opening because it's just not very likely with your plan. But
Sure.
a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit of autopilot is to
Yeah,
blame.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm. So there you go. So this move here was that so that you can move your knight to d5? Is that why you did
Uh, that
e6?
move is to open, I mean, to open the bishop mainly, I think,
Oh,
right?
okay.
To
Yeah,
open the
that makes
bishop
sense.
and then everything on top of that. So this is just kind of the next developing move for me. That's kind of a natural progression there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so now I'm pinning your knight to the queen. In this case, like I don't even care if you decide to kick it because I'll just trade.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's it's still fairly even, but at this
Very
point,
kind of like this move and so forth is I was semi-defensive here. Like I think you're
yeah,
a little bit more offensive. Just because I don't know your level and I'm kind of like protecting my downside. Like I don't want to. I feel like I should probably be able to win if I just don't mess up early. And so
yeah,
that's kind of that was kind of the reasoning there was
yeah. Well, you can
don't be
see it's
aggressive, don't open things up too much, just kind of see where you're going.
right, right. And the
Yep.
engine says it's the best move, and that makes sense because first of all, you've now opened up your ability to castle, and it
Right.
also unbreaks the pin of the knight to the queen. So
exactly. Yeah,
so
yeah.
so so that's that's why it's clearly a really strong move. So I ended up castling. It wants me to move this here to pin that knight. Maybe because it wants me to go maybe push and then take and then take and then take and then maybe
Yeah.
this goes over here or something to threaten the bishop and
Then we're just
allow.
about in the ending.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
get
And
rid of
then
all pieces and then
right, exactly. Just blow up and then it's a draw. But
yeah.
you castle, best move. Yeah, so I moved the rook there because I want to do that, and then that way I have the extra, the knights hitting it, and then the bishop has the
Yep.
ability to hit it.
Yep.
So it tends to lead to some pretty strong centers. Okay, so the computer wasn't crazy about that. I also wasn't crazy about it because, like, basically, I'm kind of forced to do this, which also brings your knight over there, which, like I don't feel
Yeah, I
like
was a little I didn't yeah, I had to do something. So I was just kind of develop just yeah, I'm not sure that was the best move either, but
yeah. Well,
yeah,
it was enough
it
to
was
kind of make me grit my
I,
teeth
I
a little
wasn't I
bit.
wasn't I wasn't thrilled about my current situation.
Right.
It was okay. Like it wasn't amazing. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. So
Yeah.
I trade the bishop just because if I took right here, this bishop I wouldn't be able to retake with the knight because of the queen.
Yeah.
So that's why I ended up take handling it the way I did. But it said going ahead for the fork already was actually the best move, which is
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
interesting. But oh well. Oh yeah, and that's what I did on the next
So here
move.
I was saved because I could take the knight, right? It kind of saved me. If the knight wasn't there, I was going to lose a piece. But so I was
Right. At least
yeah.
it's an even trade. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so you move to pin the knight. I kicked, and I think I even remembered at the time. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Take the
Yeah,
bishop
because I
there,
think
but
here you
this.
made yourself a little bit vulnerable. So this it opens this up a little bit, and then you're still pinned.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and
Yep.
so
Yeah, there
that's
you go.
the
So taking back with the bishop was the best engine move apparently. So you start to contest that D file there and basically get an X-ray on my queen.
yeah,
Okay, it wanted to push you to push this pawn first.
yeah,
So
yeah,
if
yeah,
that was over there, pushes takes and oh yeah, right, because you got the connected rooks, and then you'd be able to put an attack on the queen. So that makes sense. But I end up taking up a little bit more space here, and this also is opening
So
for
I'm
this.
surprised you stayed pinned because to me that's kind of like that was your unraveling, I think, is being pinned. Um,
Yeah, quite possibly is. Apparently, that
yeah.
take was a real disaster. Okay, but
Which one?
you were supposed to take with the queen to get the right. I actually saw that. Like when I took it, I'm like, that's garbage because then if you take with the queen, you've got this battery aiming at that. I basically have to move my rook over here and give up the
Right.
e file completely. So that was, and it's good that the evaluation bar over here on the side it gives enough detail here.
Huh. But see,
Yes.
the reason why I didn't do that is because I felt like there it was too obvious what my intentions were.
Hmm.
Which actually, if I went there actually, and then you went with your rook, then I could have gone
You could actually get an
here.
Alekine's gun. You could get all three on the
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there wasn't much, right? There wasn't much. Yeah. So actually, well, no, because if I took with the queen and this rook was still here, so then I have to move up. Then you have time to move.
Well, yeah. So
So
so what I'm proposing is you could have taken there, moved there, and then moved there. So then you get all three in a row. Which
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
But I think by that point, you could have taken this knight
yeah.
and then move this pawn up forward.
Okay, we're talking
So
about the
it
D pawn.
wasn't. Whereas like me moving the rook here, taking with a rook, I think was concealing my future intentions, which is kind
Gotcha.
of made it non-obvious a little bit like what my strategy is.
Right. Right.
But you stayed pinned.
Yeah, with the queen here, yeah, 'cause since it was backed up by the other pawn, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's interesting that it says I should have targeted this pawn. I guess it's because it ties down this rook when you really think about it. If I move the bishop over here, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you're
yeah,
not
yeah.
really going to defend it with the queen. especially
Right.
with that rook
Right.
staring at it. So you take back, which
Right.
is standard. This here was just because I didn't want to keep defending it with the king, and I saw it was
Yep.
pretty obvious that you could, do something like that.
Yep.
And that's the best move because it basically I can't take because I'd lose my queen.
Right.
So I defend that pawn that way. It's interesting. It says I should have just let it go by moving over there and or maybe trading for a different one. Okay, so you end up threatening this pawn right here. And right, this is what I think actually killed me is going to the left instead of to the right. Because like him being more or less exposed to everything you were doing over here, that
Yep.
really
Yep.
hurt me
And
later in the
this
game.
the queen being able to this open line uh
Yeah, you're
with
talking
the
about the F,
yeah
right?
F6 F5 right
Right,
yeah
exactly. Okay, apparently that was. Oh yeah, I remembered after did that one too. Going, it's like, man, that was trash. Why would I do that? Like obviously I was thinking that if you took, then I get your queen, but it's not like you're that dumb. And you found the only good move according to
yeah
the computer. It says it's a great move. I moved this over here. Why did I do that? So yeah. Oh, right. I think it was just because you were going to take that, and I'm probably going to go right there or something like that.
It
But
was
like
actually
that's
it was pretty tight here. It was kind of like I found a win, but it was like once you look through the game and I won, so it's like oh, but it was very like as you said, that there was one right move, and so if that move didn't happen,
mhm.
then if it wasn't there, so there was a couple of those situations where just one move away, and we could have had a very different outcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. So finishing up here, because I think you said that you had it at 2 p.m., so you probably have to bail pretty soon. But yeah, so taking
For a few minutes, that's fine. Yeah,
taking the pawn, switch over there, still best move.
yep,
Wow, it hated that. It wanted me to. Oh, okay, yeah, covered by the queen. It wanted me to threaten right here and try and pull off a back rank, even though you're on the G file instead. Yeah, this was a pretty crazy one, figuring this out. Because the thing that worried me is that like the obvious move, the issue is that this is also threatening the rook right there, and also moving this supported by your pawn. So I'm like, ah, crap, I need to block it off. So that's what I put that there because it
yeah,
was covered by the queen and makes it so that that rook's no longer vulnerable, even though you still have this now.
yeah.
So but you got the check. That's best move. Okay, so it wanted you to go down here. Oh yeah, because you'd be losing your queen but picking up a new one through promotion. Yeah, okay.
Right.
So there you go. So check also best move.
So here I think I went backwards, or no, I supported. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
went to D1 to do that
yep,
trick of the
yep.
rook supported again by the pawn. So I did that. Was that? Oh, that wasn't the best move. Oh, okay.
For me,
Oh, okay. Because it's saying the better thing is just give up the rook and then take the pawn.
say it again. It's saying.
So it's saying that I should have moved my rook here instead, anticipating that you would either
Oh, I see.
promote where I've got the connected rooks,
Yeah, yeah. But
you
at that
come
point,
down
then you'd be
here.
down a rook, right?
But
Yeah,
more likely you just take this rook and I'd get the pawn.
exactly. Right.
So yeah, it's interesting that that's what it was saying. You found the best move. I found the best move, and yeah. Oh, that was best as well. Good. Okay. So yeah, but right here it was like I was already pretty much done anyway. You can see that you had a 5.8 pawn uh, uh, advantage according to the engine. Okay, it said I should have pushed the pawn because it was going to be cooked.
Right. There,
Okay,
you give me a
there.
chance to exchange, and then at this point, it's over. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then I resigned. So that was some pretty neat stuff there. You and I are now starting to get to the point where instead of just focusing on improving our chess skills, we are now starting to go, okay, well, our best use of our time is to prepare against individuals. Now,
Yeah.
one thing that I was going to share was the conversation in LinkedIn where you asked me, so how good are you? And like by then, I ended up Googling you to find out what your chess.com account was. And so since I saw that, at one point you were like 1600 in Blitz, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I really need to give Mike any more advantages than he's already got. And
Yeah,
so you do
yeah.
a deep dive. But if you
Love it.
watch enough streams with grandmasters and whatnot, eventually somebody's finally going to talk about Chess Base, which is this program right here. And I see that it's put me right in the middle of everything. Okay, so the deal about Chess Base is it's just a database. I know you have a technical background as well, the same as me, so I know I can be a little bit
Yeah,
faster. But
yeah.
right here, I used Chess Base's API access to pull, let me see here, 2008 of your games. And so then I
From
was
chess.com.
from chess.com, exactly.
Wow, 2,000 games I've played. That's
Right,
a lot.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
I
so
guess. Yeah,
from there, I was able to process a couple things. One of the things I did is opened up this style report, and this
yeah,
is what it says about you. Now, I confess that when I ran this style report on the Grandmaster, it gave me much more usable information. Okay,
sure.
your one I didn't think was that good. So tough fighter, long draws, many quick wins. In other words, don't expect the short game. Second of all, like all these numbers here, you can see they're really out of whack because that's like kind of like a new
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
feature of Chess Base 18. But clear opening advantage for white. Okay, so you got a strong white opening is what that means. Equalize as well. That's a black comment because in if you're playing with black, your goal is to equalize.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
With the Russian school, they used to say you try to draw with black and win with white.
Right.
So now computers have kind of thrown that advice out. You should try and win with both. But the thing is, you need to equalize as black before you have a chance of winning. But very narrow opening repertoire, so there's not too much variation to prepare for.
That's
But
true. Because I don't study so just kind of the stuff that I learned as a kid, I kind of play with that. I probably should expand, but it's not a priority.
right, right, right. Well, I should show you the Chessable, the custom Chessable courses that I made to prepare for the GM because
Yeah,
I included some full games that I memorized. So there was
yeah,
one 16 move game that was pretty straightforward. There was a 26-ish move game and there was a 40 move game that I memorized and ran through,
yeah,
about a
yeah, yeah.
dozen times or something. But you play gambits with both colors. You like sharp openings. So that means if I'm drawish, I probably have a better chance. A few modern main lines, that's not relevant to anybody except people who are really serious about this stuff. And then rarely fianchettos as white. That's kind of an interesting piece of information. Keeps the queens on the boards. If you keep queens on the boards, or if you like your bishop pair, like the grandmaster I played against, he likes to
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
his
yeah.
bishop pair, then I do things to force that trade.
Interesting. Keeps queens on the board. That's actually true. It's more fun. The game is more dynamic.
I'd
So
agree with that as well.
I don't like to change unless, it makes sense. I'm not afraid of it, but I prefer not to because
Yeah,
then
I tend
the
to
game
do it just
quickly
because I
ends.
find
Yeah.
so few people are capable without their
Yeah,
queens.
yeah, yeah. Without
But
the queen, it just becomes like a more methodical, like, whereas with the queen, you can have like boom, boom. You can have a knockout. Whereas there, you gotta have to win on points.
right, exactly. There could
Right.
be a
So
tactic where it's
yeah,
mate
yeah,
b4 or something, or it's a little bit. So not worried
yeah.
about king safety. That's always an interesting one when they say that attacks the king completely fearless. So then the other thing here that you're supposed to look for is anywhere there's a big bump because it's going to give you a big heads
Yeah.
up here. So king's attack black is really awesome. Space disadvantage is white. So that's a more closed position. Double pawns is white. King's attack white. It happens like all the time. So this is basically what it says you're looking at, and then it gives the most common openings here. So basically, you're going to do e4 more often than not, and you face a lot of Sicilians.
I feel naked. It's
Right?
like
It's really really scary when you realize the
like
possibilities.
I've been stalked.
Right.
Yeah, this
But
is yeah,
before we go, the last thing I want to show you, which is even crazier, is you can do
yeah,
prepare against white, and
yeah.
it brings up a full tree. And of course, like it always gets so confused about what it should include and what it shouldn't. Okay, so this whole panel, oh, this actually is you too. Oh, it has notation and openings book. Okay, so is what we should go for. So in general, now it's preparation against white. So I'm going to flip the board. So you can see you're 10 times as likely to do e4 as you are the next type of opening. Next up, you usually are used to a Sicilian, so that's fine. So I can continue doing that way. And you can see that from the just the number of games, okay? So in that case, you're going to do standard that goes along with a Najdorf
Yeah.
Sicilian. But that's not what's responded to you. Now, of course, I don't want to reveal your friend's identity on
That's okay.
chess.com,
Let's
but
see. Yeah.
well, I only have the username
Oh,
anyway.
sure,
So
sure,
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
Bookie1385 is
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
vast majority of your games.
Yep.
So this just tells me it's like, okay, so Bookie probably doesn't know the Najdorf, okay, which is known by GMs to be the most book wise Sicilian opening here, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So clearly that's what Bookie likes to do because otherwise it'd be uncommon.
This is funny.
Whereas
Yeah.
D6, that's part of the both the classical Sicilian and the Najdorf Sicilian,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not part of the accelerated dragon. Okay, so here you can see we're starting to get much lower in number of games. Okay, so you
Right.
got 30 and 18, so it's pretty common for you to bring that bishop up. Now, the thing that's kind of interesting here is that the move, so that move there, that's not, so the next move really ought to be this right there, bringing E6 out, and that only happened once, apparently.
But you know that it's like this move that he does with the H6 is it's like I know it's a bad move, but yet it's hard to capitalize. It's just kind of like an irritant, and then you can't bring your bishop there, you can't bring your knight there. It's just kind of it's like it's not offensive, it doesn't help, but in the long run, it's kind of like it's annoyance. Even though I know
Right.
it's not good, it's hard to take advantage on my
Yeah.
level.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. But that's the other thing too here. Now it seems that like there's like a resource problem here. It seems to be unresponsive now. Let's
It kind
just
of dulls the game actually. So it almost like if one player is better than the other, you almost making those moves that kind of like uh brings everything on sort of on the same level.
hmm hmm
And so it's a little bit hard to take advantage at that point, right? So
Yep.
um that's what I find with moves like that. Um that it kind of the averages kind of the game and makes it a dogfight as opposed to giving me a chance to knock him out.
Right. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Of course, the only exception would be in these openings where, you memorize like 15 or 17 moves
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
still
yeah.
basically equal.
Sure.
So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if both
exactly.
sides
Yeah,
know
yeah.
you're still
Yeah.
equal, but like, if you
Yeah.
mess up anywhere, then you should know how to take advantage of those missteps.
Right.
But yeah, so like like this is a better move if the D pawn has already got out of the way
Yeah, 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 yeah.
because
But
that way
he's
your
like
bishop.
anticipating it. I guess I could go B3 and
Mhm.
put my bishop there, but I've done that a few times, but not often. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So anyway, so that's what I can do here is like I figure out like what are you super duper used to that fits into what I already do,
Yeah.
and then you also just keep an eye on how your results have been.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so that's how I pick, my plans. Now, of course, we're all human, so you never know what we're actually going to do. But this is like you can do exactly the same thing I just did, but instead prepare against black.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
so now you flip it around, and you got this great big tree. You can see that you've gone against D4 700 times, but the next closest is 218. So
Yeah.
whoever you go against, like clearly they
Prefer
you know
D4. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they prefer D4. So these are some of the things that I do to prepare for all of this. And as I was telling you offline, and it's more for you in the audience, the fact is I like having study buddies. I didn't have enough study buddies in my life, and I think part of the reason is that people's competitive nature, it just makes them unwilling to, basically admit when, they're not enough. They need to study harder, they need to go further and all that kind of stuff, or life gets in the way. And so that's why I like the idea of having a few different people where we can say it's like, hey, are you still improving? Hey, are you still improving? Because there have been a few people where, I was rated the same, but I'm sure not now, and it's only been like a year and a half or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So those are the things that are coming through. Now, chess.com has other things like that, but that's really what I wanted to talk about mostly when it comes to geeking out on the different tools that are out there. And you can see that it's one of those technological barriers, like, like when they're talking about children and being able to succeed from different backgrounds, they'll talk about the technology gap in terms of the people who have access to all the technology versus the people who don't. Like Bill
Right.
Gates, his story was like that. He had access to computers and servers and stuff like that back when people wouldn't even have experience with a PC. And
Yeah,
he
yeah,
wound up being the richest man in the world for quite some time, for most of our lives, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess another example, I had the good fortune of meeting one of the main producers of the John Leguizamo movie called Critical Thinking, which was about an inner city Florida school that started a chess club and they ended up winning the nationals. It's like, like that's a really sweet story, especially, like knowing that it was back in the 90s, whereas right now it's not practical because the technology you need, like sure, Stockfish, the best chess engine out there, it's open source in the sense of it's completely free, so
Yeah.
you can learn from the engine and make your own lines in preparation. But at the same time, like you have to have somebody who's aware of those different possibilities. So that's really the long and short of what I'd say I wanted to go through with this. And I just want to thank you, Mike, for being such a great sport. Because like me getting all covert, like I know it's not very nice as a feeling. It's just like, hey, wait a second. It's like somebody
Oh, it's
installing a
interesting. I mean, I
camera.
know people do this. It's cool. I mean, it's cool that you shared it. I mean, obviously, in chess world, I don't mind. It's like a reminder that things aren't as private as you think. But in this particular case, I think I think it's a good sport, good nature,
Yeah,
um, competitive, all that stuff. I think that's fine.
yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
I needed somebody like you who is a good sport so I can say, it's like, hey, by the way, this is what I do to prepare against you. And if you're like me, which I suspect you are, if there's holes in your openings or something like that, I
sure.
want to know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I made that video for some people, and maybe I'll start sharing it with everybody and not just the ones where I'm confident that I'm significantly better than they are. Because like at
Yeah.
the end of the day, if they have some sort of preparation that just blows mine away, I gotta know about it. But even though it's
I
not
mean, what?
entirely likely, because I got my prep from grandmaster courses, so
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
always pay attention to who's top ranked, and so like I've got Anish Giri courses, I got Sam Shanklin's courses, I got a Hikaru course, and then there's the checkmate manual, the checkmate patterns manual, which I think you need to have that if you're serious about chess, because you're just not going to have enough opportunities to checkmate people to be able to spot the tougher ones consistently. So,
Right, right. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think with regards to um, your exposing what you do in some ways you want to have your competitors doing the same thing, right? Like having the best version of themselves against you is an opportunity for you to get better and learn, right? And so in some ways, like you learn more from the losses and the challenges. So I think it's okay. I think it's good to it feels good to win. So for sure, you need both. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for sure, for sure. So we'll figure out some more opportunities to have you on the show. But thanks again. This has been fantastic.
this is awesome. Awesome. Sounds
Sweet.
great.
Oh, hey there. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you are into chess, if you play chess and you're an investor of some sort, real estate or otherwise, well, you can be on the show too. I know, right? All you have to do is connect with me on LinkedIn. My name's Dan Fredenberg, so I'm super duper easy to find on LinkedIn where I spend most of my social media time. But if you're one of those people who just don't play chess, it's I don't pay attention to him. I don't judge. All you have to do is go to dandoesdeals.com and you'll find the Chance Encounter series where you're welcome to be a guest on it, where you can share your core competencies that you're likely to contribute to a GP team or a JV. You don't have to be doing syndications. And we'll talk about your buy boxing and stuff like that. It's easy peasy. It's like 15 minutes long to record, and there are no real fastball questions. Just tell the truth, and everybody will be fine. And if that's not really your thing, dandoesdeals.com, it also has the way to meet more, join more people, add more people to your investor list, your different deal sponsor operators and KPs and passive investors, all that kind of stuff. I'm probably repeating myself, but I'll give you the rest of your day. I appreciate you watching Chess with Investors. See you next time. Bye.